So, over the last several podcast episodes, we've been taking a look at foundational principles from creation to image of God to what man was created to do, namely work worship. And we've been laying this foundation to understand how to counteract the coming AI revolution. And so, in our latest podcast episode, episode 6, we kind of introduced some of these AI concepts, some of the thought leaders, some of the increasing or advancements in AI technology and policy that's happened under the Trump administration. And so what we mentioned and what we're actually seeing is that these AI technocrats, there's really no other better word for that than these so-called technical experts that want to merge their influence with government and become a technocracy, technology leading the government administration, at least the government of the United States. What we've seen is that they're coming at this AI from a completely secular and evolutionary mind frame. And so the only real way to combat that is to counter that with a creation mindset, one that knows the value of man and one that knows the value of work, the dignity of work, not one that wants to see man modified and changed and artificially enhanced to become something that he's not or was never meant to be, and not then also to see work replaced by machine, which largely we saw happen under the Industrial Revolution. So, all these things are changing fast. It's crazy. But one of the things that I want to point out and what I wanted to discuss in this episode of Notes from the Pulpit is that largely we have bought into the lie of it is what it is, or we bought into the lie of that's just the way things are. And we've never questioned to ask how we got here. And I'm going to explain this a little bit, and then I'm going to point out 4 major movements that have changed or at least impacted greatly how we view work today, or how we've come to accept or embrace the concept of work today. And it's not something that's happened organically, but it's something that's been methodically changed over time. And so much so that we are just born into accepting this without ever questioning it. And what I mean is that from the time we're born, everything that we do, everything that we really are, is to drive us towards employment, is to drive us towards being a good member of society that will work and make money and pay taxes. Everything. Literally everything. So, from the fact that our parents, most of us have a 2-parent, well, at least we did have a 2-parent home, but if you have a single-parent home, it's even more the case. But we grow up, we've got a 2-parent, single-parent, foster parent, grandparents, whatever the case may be, in our home that are out working. They're in the workplace. In my case, I grew up in a 2-parent home, and both of them worked. And I was sent off to daycare at a young age. I was sent off to daycare, 2-3 years old, like most kids. Maybe your mom stays home with you for the first few months of your life, and she's got maternity leave from her job, and then, time comes for you to go off to daycare, or somebody babysits you for a little bit until you go to daycare. And from that point forward, you're essentially institutionalized into the government education system, maybe from preschool, so age 4 or 5, and then definitely into kindergarten when it's required, 5, 6, on to the time that you're 17 or 18 years old and you graduate the 12th grade. And then you enter into college. And so what I'm talking about is that from the time you are born, you are ushered into the system where things have already been planned for you. Things have already been laid out for you of how your life is going to look. You are sent to a compulsory government-run education system where they decide what you're going to learn and how you're going to learn it. They pull you from your home, from those people that should have the most influence over your life, that should be the one that are responsible for your education, that should definitely be the ones that are responsible for your well-being. And they send you off to strangers. They send you off to people that don't know you, to peers who you would have most likely never chosen to be your friends, who also now have influences on you because they all have their own background and baggage that they bring to the table. And then at the end of that, you see, well, look, they've either turned out to be a good young man or woman, or they haven't. But you're largely being raised by these government institutions, by teachers who don't know you, male or female, and kids who you would have never chosen to be your friends, your peers in the first place. So from the time we're born, even if you want to look and go, you know what, from the time we're born, now we're given a social security number. Why? Why was that? Why did that even come to be? Well, it came around because it needed to track your earnings. The government needed a way to track your earnings and needed a way to track away who your beneficiaries were. And then over time, it morphed into being a way to calculate and track taxes when you get a W-2 from an employer. But now, the reality is, it's being assigned from birth, and it is a government-issued tracking identification number. There's no other way around it. And the reason that they have this is to track your employment and to track your taxes and how much you need to pay. So everything, and that goes that goes against maybe if you don't even want to have a job, you just want to work. You don't want to work for an employer. You just want to work on your own. Maybe you want to work on your farm and you want to raise goods or you want to provide services to people. It doesn't matter. You're tracked, buddy. You're in the system from birth. And that's what I'm getting at. We have embraced this lie without ever even asking why or how we got here.